Wedding prices are totally out of control. In 2023, couples spent an average of $30,000 on their wedding, but that doesn't have to be you. In this video, I've got the data, I've got the numbers. Okay, we're gonna break down the biggest wedding expenses by category and how exactly you can save money on every single one of them. Because when consistently in this country, one of the top reasons for divorce remains money problems, you begin to see how starting your marriage off broke or worse in a boatload of debt just for one day can be a lot more stressful than having a solid financial footing from the start. Okay, the first most expensive category for people, even more expensive than the venue itself, is food and drinks, where people spent an average of $8,176. Let's start with the food. The easiest way to save money in this category is to choose your own catering. And a super hot tip is to reach out to the local culinary school. One of my friends had her wedding catered this way, and honestly, it was such a hot tip. She cut the price of her catering bill in half. So the food is prepared by culinary students, but the entire process is overseen by the program administrator. So on the day of the event, you would honestly never know the difference. And you can really do this anywhere. It doesn't have to be from a culinary school, but the most important piece is that you get at least 3 different quotes from outside vendors. Certain food trucks, like the ones that serve just pizza or just tacos, might make a lot of sense depending on your scenario, but just depending on what they serve, you could be dealing with super long wait times, and I've heard that that can kind of become an issue. But if it's a food truck that keeps things relatively simple, it could save you a bunch of money. Overall, though, buffet-style catering, where your guests are called by table and then they go to the buffet and serve themselves, is almost always a pretty affordable option when you compare it to like traditional catering. Now, the problem is nowadays a lot of these venues lock you into this contract where you can't bring your own food and drinks. They say this is a issue of liability, where if an outside vendor comes in, prepares a bunch of food, they can't really vouch for the quality, and then what happens if people get sick, la la la. So if you are absolutely dead set on a venue that requires you to choose from an approved list of their caterers, you need to negotiate a window for a refundable deposit so that you can get quotes from each of these vendors. Because a lot of times what happens is you fall in love with this venue, you put down your deposit, and then they slap you with an $11,000 catering bill. Don't let this happen. Ask for a refundable deposit window. Okay, moving on to drinks. If you can, bring your own alcohol. This is going to save you so much money because not only can you hunt down the best prices, you can also take yourself to Costco and buy everything in bulk. But same as with the food, a lot of these vendors are now locking you into these contracts where you have to use their bar service because they obviously charge insane markup on every drink. In that case, if you're already locked into a venue's bar service, one thing you can do is choose to go the route of just beer and wine. And even if you allow cocktails at the bar, just avoiding those signature drinks, like when the bride has her Moscow Mule and the groom or whoever has the whiskey sour, those signature cocktail his and hers vibes are extremely expensive, and foregoing those can save you seriously thousands of dollars. So you're probably starting to see a trend here, which is that probably the most wide-reaching and substantial way to save money on your wedding is by choosing a venue that lets you do your own thing. The average couple spends $5,761 on a venue. And yeah, that number is expensive, but you might feel like, well, that's doable until you find out that you have to use their bar service, their caterer, their flower person, their wedding planner, their DJ, and all of those people wind up running you an extra $15,000. One of my friends just found out that her wedding venue won't even let her use an outside photographer. How is that a thing? So my point is, the true cost of the venue is not the $5,761 that they quote you. It's actually the cost of all those other services that are bundled and packaged in that oftentimes you don't find out about until later. So like I said, make sure you negotiate a window of time where you can back out and get your deposit out so that you have enough time to get those numbers up front from all of the different vendors that they force you to use. But alternatively, Could you consider a venue that doesn't literally hold you hostage to use their services? This could be local government-owned places like rec centers, city halls, public parks. Honestly, some of these weddings at these government buildings are stunning, like elaborate architecture and history and lighting. Parks that allow you to get a permit for some period of time, most of the time are going to have some kind of awning or gazebo, so you have a covered section. And then if you wanted to, you could have the whole party just move to a reception hall somewhere to save some money and do the dancing and entertainment and food situation over there. There are so many different creative ways to do this. I could go on, but the point is that you save money not just on the venue, but on all of the different vendors you have to hire because of it. The next most expensive category is the rings at $5,501 on average. And this includes the engagement ring and the wedding band. If you're already engaged, I probably can't stop you from spending a bunch of money on that ring. But for your wedding ring, I need you to know this. The myth of spending a bunch of money on natural diamonds started with a company called De Beers Diamond Company when they convinced an entire generation that diamonds are rare. Meanwhile, they are in fact not rare. De Beers had entire warehouses sitting full of diamonds because the supply is that great. And so their prices over the years were artificially inflated. This is well documented. I am not just like talking out of my do not spend an arm and a leg on these rings. I will die on this hill. Lab-grown diamonds are the same molecule as natural diamonds. They cost 60 to 85% less and are the same thing. Well, blah, blah, blah. Lab-grown diamonds don't have resale value. Do you plan to sell it later down the line? I don't know why you would do this unless you were looking for like divorce protection of some kind, in which case a prenuptial agreement would almost certainly be more efficient and effective at doing that. Okay, moving on to the flowers and decor. Man, flowers are so expensive, it hurts. The average couple spent $2,639 on their flowers. My friend just a few days ago told me that she was quoted more than $5,000 for the flowers at her wedding, so I know that this number realistically can get even higher, and this is another one of those things where the venue might try to lock you in with their flower person, and they won't just let you DIY it all the time. But if they will, and you can, you should do that. Try to get your own flowers. Costco sells an abundance of flowers in bulk. It's kind of crazy to see their prices. You gotta see these carnations. I'm gonna put carnations on the screen here. Look at these, 60 cents a stem. Are you seeing this? Another tip is to mix in greenery instead of flowers, like having long strands of eucalyptus or other fresh greenery. It gives the whole thing a more earthy, kind of contemporary, laid back vibe. And honestly, it's so much cheaper than flowers to just have the greens, and I don't know, personally I think it looks really nice. And even then, with the greenery, you could mix in some flowers and cut your flower budget in half, so really you can still substantially reduce the cost even if you're mixing flowers in there. But if you're locked into the venue's flower person, make sure that they will be repurposing the flowers from your ceremony to your reception. I'm talking picking up those flowers and moving them around. That way you're not paying double for flowers here and flowers there, and you only have to pay for those bad boys once. Who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. And guess what? Even if they do know, they'll be like, that's really smart. I bet she's saving a lot of money. What a genius. Next up is the photographer, where people spend an average of $2,264. Most places are going to let you pick your own photographer, so at least you can get a bunch of different quotes here. But arguably the most important question that you need to ask yourself in this category is, how many pictures of my drunk friends dancing do I really need? Because seriously, if you get a full day photographer, you're gonna get the getting ready shots, the first look shots, the wedding party pose shots, the ceremony shots, and then literally 4 consecutive hours of photos of all of your friends and family just getting progressively more and more intoxicated. Oh, and then that picture of you walking under the sparklers at the very end, if that's what you want. I don't know. Like, do we need all those pictures? Personally, I don't think that I would like most of them or even like look at all of them all of the time. And you can seriously cut your photography bill in half by just getting photos for 4 or 6 hours where you do the whole getting ready thing, the ceremony, and then maybe like the first couple hours of the reception. Save a bunch of money. I'm skipping over music because once again, most people let you get your own vendor for this, and you can even like DJ your own playlist if that's what you want to do. But moving on to the last way to save money, the cake. People spend an average of $516 on their wedding cake. And I just have 2 words here: fake layers. You and your boo are the only people up there cutting that cake, okay? Fake that cake all day long. Get yourselves a delicious, fresh baked bakery cake from like Whole Foods. Add some fake layers on there, put some fruit on top, and you have a gorgeous wedding cake for seriously less than $100. Half the people at your wedding aren't going to eat the wedding cake anyway, so get yourself a sheet cake or some cupcakes and you'll save probably in total at least $200. As always, thank you for being here, and please give me the tea on how you saved money for your wedding. I want to know what you feel like was totally worth the cost, or what you would have even spent more on, where you would have cut. Obviously, weddings are super personal, and so is money in general, so I definitely don't want to make anybody feel bad about their wedding choices. I'm just giving you my personal opinion and what the scoop is on how to save money if you want to. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.